You're draining yourself obsessing over matters that won't hold any significance for you a decade from now. I guarantee you this truth. I'm not speculating. I dedicated 38 years being present with individuals during their last moments and hours, hearing what they genuinely expressed when they understood their time was nearly up. And I can assure you with absolute confidence that the majority of what is consuming you presently will fade into irrelevance. Nearly everything disturbing your sleep, nearly everything you're trading your tranquility for, will dissolve. It will cease to hold importance. The heartbreak is that this realization won't dawn on you until you're considerably older or more ill or nearer to death than you wish to be. You'll reflect back and wonder, why did I surrender so much of my being to that? I've witnessed this unfold with countless individuals over 2,000 occasions, and I've experienced it personally. I understand what disappears, and I need to share this with you now, while this knowledge can still serve you. First lesson, I abandoned my need to be correct. This proved to be among my greatest challenges because I lived most of my existence convinced that when I possessed the truth about something, I bore a responsibility to ensure everyone else recognized it. I would debate, I would persist, I would present proof, I would return to discussions days afterward with fresh arguments. I believed I was being constructive. I believed accuracy held value, and accuracy does hold value, but not in the manner I assumed it did. What I discovered from being with dying individuals is that not a single person, and I truly mean not one, ever expressed, I wish I had triumphed in more debates. Never once across 38 years. What they expressed was, I wish I hadn't allowed minor disagreements to create major rifts. They expressed, I wish I had permitted my sibling to be mistaken about political matters without transforming it into conflict. They expressed, I wish I had remained silent and simply released it. Being correct carries a price. It demands energy. It damages connections. It depletes your serenity. And the profit from that expenditure is virtually zero. You prevail in the dispute, and the other individual harbors resentment. You demonstrate your stance, and they become more entrenched. You experience superiority for roughly 15 minutes, and then the gratification vanishes, and you're left with identical issues you faced previously, plus slightly more separation between you and someone who was once dear. I'm not claiming truth holds no importance. I'm claiming choose your confrontations carefully. The majority aren't worth engaging. Allow individuals to be mistaken. Allow them to believe what they believe. You don't need to educate everyone. You don't need to be the person who establishes what's accurate. Simply pursue your existence and allow them to pursue theirs. The vitality you preserve will be substantial. Second lesson, I abandoned my need to be comprehended by all. There existed a period when I would clarify myself without end. If someone misconstrued my motives, I would return and elaborate. If someone held negative perceptions of me, I would attempt to alter their perspective. I would construct thorough explanations. I would re-examine conversations. I would remain awake contemplating how I might have expressed myself more effectively. This is draining, and it proves ineffective. Certain individuals won't comprehend you regardless of how explicitly you clarify yourself. Certain individuals have no desire to comprehend you. They've already determined who you are and what you intended, and no volume of discourse will alter it. So I ceased. Now I articulate what I mean a single time. If someone doesn't comprehend or refuses to comprehend, that's not my burden to address. I'm not accountable for controlling what transpires inside another person's consciousness. I observed a woman named Margaret, this was perhaps 1989, dedicate her final 3 weeks attempting to compose letters to individuals who had misconstrued her throughout her existence. She desired to establish the truth before her death. She was 76 years of age. She had cancer that had metastasized throughout her body, and she was utilizing what minimal vitality she possessed remaining to clarify herself to individuals who had condemned her generations prior. I eventually questioned her, "Margaret, do you believe these letters will transform their opinions?" She gazed at me extensively. She responded, "Likely not." I questioned, "Then why are you dedicating your final moments to this?" She placed down the pen. She never retrieved it again. She devoted her remaining time with her grandchildren instead. Allow yourself to be misconstrued. The individuals who hold significance will recognize who you truly are. The individuals who don't will accept whatever they desire, regardless. Third lesson, I abandoned my concern about my body's appearance. I'm not referring to wellness. Wellness holds significance. I'm referring to aesthetic presentation. I'm referring to how we brutalize ourselves over whether we appear acceptable to others. I devoted decades agonizing about my weight, my complexion, my hair, my attire. I wouldn't display certain items because I believed my arms appeared inadequate. I wouldn't swim because I didn't desire others to observe my thighs. I would examine the mirror and enumerate everything that was flawed. Do you comprehend how much time that consumes? Do you comprehend how much cognitive energy that demands? And for what purpose? So that unknown individuals wouldn't harbor critical judgments about me, so that I could satisfy some standard that continuously shifted regardless. At 92, I can assure you that your body is a vessel. That's its entirety. It's the mechanism that transports you throughout your living days. It's not a spectacle. It's not an assignment. It's not something requiring perfection before you're permitted to appreciate your existence. Every single individual who ever observed you critically, every single individual who ever caused you to feel like you weren't slender enough or attractive enough or youthful enough, they're managing their own suffering. Their criticism of your body isn't genuinely about your body. It's about their terror and their vulnerability and their incapacity to embrace their own mortality. Don't allow their anguish to become yours. Display what you desire. Consume the food. Go swimming. Cease concealing yourself until you appear the way you believe you're meant to appear. You'll never arrive there. The standard is fraudulent, and you'll awaken one morning at 92 in a body that scarcely functions anymore. And you'll contemplate, I wish I had appreciated it more when it still possessed capabilities. I wish I had displayed the dress. I wish I had consumed the cake without humiliation. I wish I had ceased punishing myself. Fourth lesson, I abandoned my concern about maintaining pace. This one occurred incrementally and then suddenly. Throughout most of my existence, I experienced this burden to remain contemporary, to understand what was transpiring in current events, to comprehend the emerging technology, to have viewed the films everyone was discussing, to possess perspectives about the disputes of the present. I examined newspapers and observed the evening broadcasts and experienced distress if I fell behind. I believed remaining informed was an ethical duty. Then, somewhere in my 80s, I recognized something. The world will continue generating commotion whether I attend or not. The news mechanism is constructed to convince you that everything is critical and everything demands your awareness and everything is catastrophic. But it's false. The majority of what feels critical today will be entirely forgotten within 6 months. The matter everyone is disputing this week will be supplanted by something different next week. I ceased attempting to maintain pace with all of it. I select a few matters I genuinely care about, and I attend to those. I allow the remainder to pass. I don't understand what the latest dispute is on the internet. I don't understand what the younger generation is communicating on their devices. I don't understand which celebrity performed what or which politician articulated something outrageous. And my existence is not diminished for it. My existence is enhanced. I possess serenity. I possess cognitive capacity. I possess room for the matters that genuinely hold significance to me. You don't have to maintain pace with everything. You're permitted to withdraw. You're permitted to declare, I don't possess a perspective about that because I haven't been monitoring it. You're permitted to allow the commotion to pass you by and concentrate on what is genuine and proximate and authentic. Fifth lesson, I abandoned my concern about ancient resentments. I retained bitterness for generations. There existed individuals I hadn't pardoned for actions they committed in the 1960s. I would contemplate them and experience the fury emerge within me as if it was still recent. I maintained mental records of transgressions committed against me. I practiced conversations I would never conduct. I envisioned confrontations. And throughout this period, the individuals I was furious at possessed no awareness. They were pursuing their existences. They had likely forgotten whatever they committed that wounded me. The sole individual being damaged by my resentment was me. I was transporting this burden throughout everywhere I traveled, and they were transporting nothing. In hospice practice, I observed this pattern repeatedly. Individuals on their deathbeds suddenly frantic to forgive or be forgiven. Families rushing to mend generations of separation in the final moments. Siblings who hadn't communicated in 40 years attempting to compress a lifetime of reconciliation into one hospital encounter. And sometimes it succeeded. Sometimes grace appeared at the final moment. But frequently it didn't. Frequently there was insufficient time, or one individual had already perished, or the wound was too profound to mend quickly. And I would observe individuals perish with regrets still in their hearts. So I ceased waiting. I forgave everyone, not because they merited it, and not because what they committed was acceptable. I forgave them because I didn't desire to transport it anymore. Forgiveness is not a present you grant to the individual who wounded you. It's a present you grant to yourself. It's releasing a burden that was never accomplishing anything except exhausting you. I don't contemplate those ancient injuries anymore. I don't possess the vitality for it. and I don't desire to squander the time I possess remaining on fury from 50 years prior. Sixth lesson, I abandon my concern about what my adult children believe of my decisions. This one will be divisive. I recognize that. But I raised 3 children. I granted them everything I possessed for generations. I sacrificed, I agonized, I lost slumber, I made decisions I didn't desire to make because I believed it was optimal for them. And then they matured, they became adults with their own existences and their own perspectives. And somewhere throughout the process, I recognized I was still attempting to satisfy them. I was making decisions about my own existence based on whether my children would approve. I was terrified of their condemnation. I was terrified they would believe I was being reckless or selfish or making poor decisions. My children care for me. I recognize they do. But they're not always accurate about what is optimal for me. They agonize about me the way I used to agonize about them. And sometimes their concern leads them to perspectives I don't share. When my husband Robert perished in 2012, they believed I should transition into assisted living immediately. They believed living alone was hazardous. They possessed all these ideas about what I should accomplish with my own existence. And I listened. I considered their viewpoint. And then I made my own decision. I remained in my apartment. I acquired a medical alert device. I made some modifications. But I didn't allow their terror to override my own assessment about my own existence. Your children, if you possess them, will have perspectives about you. They'll believe you should accomplish things differently. They'll agonize. They'll sometimes attempt to control you because they care for you and they're frightened. But you remain you. You remain an adult who gets to make your own decisions. You don't cease being a complete individual simply because your children are mature and concerned. Care for them, listen to them, and then make your own decisions regardless. Seventh lesson, I abandoned my concern about being productive. This is the most difficult one for my generation. And I suspect it's even more difficult for yours. We were conditioned to accept that our value was linked to our usefulness, that we had to deserve our position in the world by laboring, by contributing, by accomplishing something that held significance. Retirement was frightening for numerous individuals I knew because suddenly they didn't possess a function. They didn't possess a designation. They didn't possess somewhere to be and something to achieve, and they experienced like they didn't hold significance anymore. I experienced this too. When I retired from hospice practice, I volunteered for another 20 years because I didn't understand how to simply exist. I didn't understand how to be valuable without being productive. And then my body began decelerating. I couldn't volunteer as extensively. I couldn't accomplish as extensively. I had to learn to simply be. This was among the most challenging lessons of my existence. Learning that I remain deserving of care and space and air and sustenance even when I'm not producing anything. Learning that I don't have to deserve my existence. Learning to sit in a chair and examine a book and not experience guilt that I'm not accomplishing something useful. You're not a machine. Your value isn't measured by your output. You're permitted to rest. You're permitted to take time that doesn't produce anything. You're permitted to have hours and days that are simply for being alive, not for achieving. The ideology of productivity is deceiving you. It's informing you that every moment must be maximized, every hour must register, every day must advance you towards some objective. But that's not how a quality life is genuinely lived. A quality life possesses space in it. A quality life possesses rest. A quality life possesses moments where you're accomplishing nothing except existing. And that's sufficient. I'm 92 years of age. I've observed over 2,000 individuals perish. I've witnessed what they released and what they retained. I've heard what they wished they had accomplished differently. And the connecting thread, the common element, is this. They cared excessively about the incorrect matters for too extended. They granted their precious vitality to confrontations that didn't hold significance, to appearances that diminished, to resentments that poisoned only themselves, to perspectives of individuals who scarcely knew them, to an endless mechanism of remaining contemporary and remaining productive and remaining relevant. And at the conclusion, none of that was what they desired. They desired serenity. They desired the individuals they cared for around them. They desired to understand that their existence had signified something to someone. They desired to experience like they hadn't squandered it. You're squandering it presently, some portion of it at least. Some portion of your vitality and your awareness and your heart is traveling to something that doesn't merit it. I cannot inform you precisely what that is for you, but I can inform you it's there. And I can inform you that you don't have to wait until you're 92 or until you're dying to begin releasing it. Release it now. Cease caring about it today. Preserve yourself for the matters that will still hold significance at the conclusion, because the conclusion is approaching. It's approaching for all of us. And you don't desire to arrive there and recognize you devoted your one precious existence caring about matters that never should have possessed your heart in the first place.